Okay, so this is exciting. Hallow Road. Hallow Road is the new film by Babak Anvari, who is the British-Iranian filmmaker who made my favourite film of 2016, Under the Shadow, which I reviewed when you and I were in a previous incarnation of this show. That was a film about a mother and daughter living under the terror of a supernatural wraith in 1980s Tehran. But although there was a supernatural element, the story was actually very down to earth because it was about women being more scared of going out of the house because of what was happening in the political landscape than staying in the house and dealing with the wraith. After that, he made Wounds, which I don't think I saw, and I think he had a slightly rough ride on. And then I Came By, which we reviewed, which was a twisty thriller with George Mackay and Hugh Bonneville. Now, Babak Anvari is back on top form with Hallow Road, and I have to tell you that I didn't know anything at all going in. In fact, I don't think I'd even clocked that it was Babak Anvari's new film because I try not to read a bunch of stuff before I see things. So this is from a script by William Gillies, I believe is the pronunciation. Here's the setup. Rosamund Pike and Matthew Rhys are a married couple. We meet them at their home at night. She's asleep in bed. He's asleep at his desk. The phone rings, 2:00 in the morning. It's their daughter, who apparently, following some form of family row, has stormed off and taken the dad's car with her. She was meant to be going, it seems, to the apartment that she shares with her boyfriend. That's not what's happened. She's wound up in woods. She is hysterical. She has been involved in some form of an accident. She's hit something, somebody, a girl who has run out from dark trees, and she is now in the car in the middle of the night, 2:00 on the end of the phone, in a state of, as I said, total panic. She's too terrified to go and look at what might have happened. Her mum, Rosamund Pike, is a paramedic. Mum and dad immediately jump into the mum's car, say, we're on the way, we're coming now. Sat nav tells you 40 minutes away. The daughter is hysterical, but all you know about her situation is the voice on the phone and the mum trying to talk her through what she has to do in order to save the situation.
That's very helpful of Rosamund Pike. You know, don't let him die. Well,
don't let her die, because don't let her die. And Rosamund Pike, as I said, is a paramedic, so she's talking through the stuff she has to do. So we're now in the car with the two people driving to this location deep in the woods, 40 minutes away, with just the voice on the phone and trying to figure out what to do. The mum trying to get her to do CPR. The dad, meanwhile, panicking and thinking, hang on. You know, the circumstances of this is going to ruin her life. How are we going to deal with it? And all the time, they are driving further and further into the night, further and further into the woods, and just that voice. Now, I have to say, the first 25 minutes of this, I had an experience that I don't have very often in the cinema, which was I saw it in the Universal screening room, you know, Dave Norris's screening room. I was sitting at the back. And I found myself doing that thing, which I haven't done for a long time, which is going, it's only a movie. It's only a movie.
Wow.
You know, the tagline of Last House on the Left, you know, to stop from screaming, just keep telling yourself it's only a movie. And I had to do that because the way in which the tautness of that thing, they wake up in the night, there's a phone call, and the phone keeps coming in and cutting out. They're just panicking. They're just trying to deal with a situation that they don't understand. They can't quite, you know, and they're in the car together, and it's just this voice on the phone. And I found it absolutely, I mean, you know, people have said things like, well, it's the parents' worst nightmare and all that stuff. But I actually think it's to do with the dramatic construction of it. It's just a thing which, you know, if you're whoever you are, you understand that this is a terrible, terrible situation that they're trying to deal with. As the situation worsens in the car, the parents start to argue with themselves, with each other, with the daughter. And during the course of the journey, old skeletons come out of the closet, buried grievances are aired, hidden secrets are revealed. But meanwhile, the reality of what has actually happened on the road is only conveyed through the broken signal of the voice on the phone, which keeps cutting out. Now, if you look at Babak Anvari's previous films, you'll know that his work often has this thing about, you know, it has one foot in this world and another foot in a sort of, in something which is slightly more fantastical. And obviously, when they get into the car, there is a sense, and I've seen an interview in which he's talked about this, but it occurred to me while I was watching the film that once they're in the car, they're like in an interior, and the whole psychodrama becomes a much more of an interior psychodrama. What I didn't know was that the exterior sequences are filmed in 16mm and the interior sequences in the car are filmed on digital. So they actually have a slightly different feel to them. So I knew something was up, but I didn't know that that was what it was. And as with Under the Shadow, the fact that they're driving into these deep, dark woods, okay, so that has fairy tale written all over it. But any fairy tale elements are rooted in very, very real, down to earth, real parental terrors. In a way, this is a story about, parents' desire to save their kids, to change their children's fates, to somehow, and as any parent will know, even actually if you're not a parent, you know this instinctively, that thing about feeling a conflict between your protective urge and also, what's morally the right thing to do. The daughter is saying, I can't go out and give her CPR. And the mum's saying, you have to do it. This is what you have to do. And at one point, weirdly enough, I was reminded of there's a Michael Haneke film called Benny's Video, which predates Funny Games. Benny's Video is a much better film than Funny Games. And that is a really cold, clinical sort of a depiction of bourgeois parents protecting their child at all odds, at all costs. And it's a really kind of bleak film, but it has no fantastical element whatsoever. This is much more a psychodrama with, as I said, that sort of fairy tale reality to it. They're in this bubble that's going into these woods. They're following this, this blip on the sat nav that isn't quite accurate. They don't quite know where they're going. I mean, some people will compare this to that film Lock, because that's a similarly that's a claustrophobic car-bound setting. This, however, is very much its own beast. Credits to cinematographer Kit Fraser and editor Laura Jennings, who kind of do this sinuary crawl all around the location of the car. Rosamund Pike and Matthew Rhys are terrific. Incidentally, stay for the end credits, because the end credits confirm something that you kind of that you will understand on an instinctive level anyway, but stay for the end credits. Terrific music. I mean, it's Lorne Balfe and Peter Adams, and this the kind of the score. There was this thing at the end about the score and its connection to Martin Gore's Behind the Wheel, which is that I don't know much about Depeche Mode, although incidentally, Depeche Mode will come up again in Take Two in our discussion of Last of Us. I thought this was fantastic, and so as I said, when I was watching it, I actually found myself having to keep telling yourself it's only a movie, keep telling yourself it's only a movie. And when I came out, I did something which I really don't do very often, which was I got on my phone and I found a contact for Babak. I've interviewed Babak Anvari before, but I haven't seen him for ages. And I found a contact for him, and I sent him a message to say, I just have to tell you, I was knocked out by this film. And it's great because for me, I loved Under the Shadow, and this is, there we go. There you go. You've done it again, and it's really well written, really well directed, really well played, and it is absolutely edge of your seat gripping. But there's more to it than that. It is a psychodrama, an interior psychodrama that plays out largely within a car.